for a press conference. We're waiting to hear from them. We have heard from the governor. Governor Greg Abbott has tweeted, "Our prayers are with all who were harmed by this evil act. Our thanks to law enforcement for their response." More details from DPS soon. President Donald Trump has also tweeted, "May God be with the people of Sutherland Springs, Texas. The FBI and law enforcement are on scene." Sutherland Springs is a small town, very small town in Wilson County. It's near Floresville, which is also a small town. As we've heard from our reporters on the ground, it's a very tight-knit community. Sue thinks that maybe half of the congregation at this church may have passed away. Again, we haven't confirmed a number. We don't know for sure how many people go to that church, but this is for sure a mass casualty situation. One of the difficulties with a situation like this is it's rural Texas. So getting first responders down there, getting medical helicopters down there, it takes some time. And so Sue was telling us that thankfully a lot of people down there are volunteers, and they just kind of sprung into action. But again, you can tell just how difficult it would be to get first responders down there. It would take some time. Again, guys, can we take the chopper video? Let's see if we can get it's going in and out. Okay. We wanted to show you some aerial video of what it looks right now at the church. But it's kind of going in and out. So we're waiting to get that back up for you all if we can. Again, this happened before noon. So to get that back up for you all if we can. Again, this happened before noon. Somebody told our Sue Kalberg that it was during the 11 a.m. church service at First Baptist Church in Sutherland Springs, Texas. Again, multiple injuries, multiple fatalities. It's really a very fluid situation as we wait to hear from more from law enforcement on just how bad the situation is. We know it's bad, we just don't know how bad. There's a tweet here from Speaker of the House Paul Ryan. He says, "Reports out of Texas are devastating. The people of Sutherland Springs need our prayers right now." That's definitely true. Our thoughts and prayers are with everybody down there. The population of Sutherland Springs is about 700 people, so definitely a small town in rural South Texas. Again, not far from Floresville in Wilson County. We're waiting to hear more, too, about who the shooter was, what happened. CBS News was reporting that there was a chase of some sort with law enforcement and may have spanned into Guadalupe County. Right now, just so you know, it's difficult to get in touch with law enforcement. As you can imagine, they're getting bombarded. They're dealing with this investigation. Multiple agencies, again, the Wilson County Sheriff's Office, the FBI, Texas Department of Public Safety, now maybe the Guadalupe County Sheriff's Office. Multiple agencies are involved. And again, because of this tragedy, as far as the medical situation goes, people are being flown here to San Antonio to receive treatment. Again, I know a spokesperson from University Hospital here in San Antonio confirmed to me that they have half a dozen patients. They have 6 patients. That's not to say that there aren't patients also at BAMC and maybe other hospitals here in San Antonio. Again, hopefully we will hear from law enforcement pretty soon. They are moving everybody from the community center at the church to the Stockdale City Hall, so we'll give them some time to get set up, and hopefully we can get some clarity on this horrible situation. Obviously, this is the house of God. This is one of the places people would assume they are the safest, and not the case today. As our Governor Greg Abbott said, this was just a pure act of evil. See here. Again, this is a fluid situation. It happened just before noon.
So, just off the phone with CBS News, a law enforcement source is telling CBS News that at least 15 people have been shot.
Okay. CBS News is reporting from a law enforcement source that at least 15 people have been shot. Again, we have confirmed for ourselves with the FBI. We know this is going to be multiple people that are injured, multiple people dead. There's a lot of numbers out there, but we don't want to put one out there until it's confirmed. But this is going to be a bad situation. It's definitely going to a lot of people that have been shot and killed. We're waiting to hear more from law enforcement. As of now, it looks like the Department of Public Safety has taken over this investigation, or they're handling it, at least right now. I know from a spokesperson from the FBI field office that they're going to assist right now in Sutherland Springs, but they're not taking over this investigation. Of course, it's fluid. We'll continue to see what happens and how this plays out. Hey, Javier, do we have any sound or anything from there that we can share yet, or nothing yet? Okay. We're waiting to get more, again, as it continues to flow in. People continue to tweet about this. This is really what everybody's talking about. The small town just southeast of San Antonio has now become the talk of the nation, and not for anything good, that's for sure.
We got cover video for you, Bill.
All right, we got some video. Here's some video. What are we looking at, guys? This is from the scene from earlier from our Sue Kalberg. She was actually on scene pretty quick. She had mentioned she was down there earlier for a different story. So this is some video of the scene from earlier. You can see the yellow caution tape there, law enforcement, probably some witnesses and some people there that were on the ground as this all unfolded. Again, we don't know the exact shooting, and we know that this is a mass casualty situation. So a significant number, it's safe to say, a significant number of this congregation was harmed, hurt, and killed by this horrible, cowardly act. Again, we don't know anything about the shooter other than he has been stopped. He is dead. We don't know if he shot and killed himself or if law enforcement shot and killed the shooter. Just a lot of questions that still need to be answered. And again, the response, you have to keep in mind, this is in rural Texas, Wilson County, so obviously you had the Wilson County Sheriff's Office and probably some volunteers respond, but it's going to take some time for other agencies to get there to assist, as well as medical support too. We know a number of medical helicopters were flown out there from San Antonio. Of course, it does take a little bit of time to get all of those resources out there. Again, what you're looking at right now is video from earlier today from our Sue Kalberg when she was on the ground there. This is shortly after the shooting. Again, we're still waiting to hear from law enforcement on just exactly how many people were shot and killed. It's going to be a high number, unfortunately. Again, we would like to answer these questions for everybody. The best we can do right now is offer our prayers. Here's a tweet from Senator John Cornyn. He tweeted, "Truly heartbreaking news in Sutherland Springs. Please say your prayer for First Baptist congregation, first responders, and the community there." That's definitely what we will all be doing. Again, this is a mass casualty situation with people spread throughout various hospitals in South Texas region, some at the Connolly Memorial Medical Center in Floresville in Wilson County. Some have been taken here to San Antonio. We're waiting to get more word as far as, people that are possibly hanging on for their life, how bad these injuries are. We don't know. Other than they are multiple injuries, multiple people dead. Just to recap again, the governor had tweeted earlier, "Our prayers are with all who were harmed by this evil act. Our thanks to law enforcement for their response. More details from DPS soon." Let me see here. I'm getting some information from Methodist Hospital here in San Antonio. They have not received any of these victims. Methodist Hospital here in San Antonio has not received any of these victims, but we do know University Hospital has received 6 of the injured. Okay, so now I've got some questions here from you all on Facebook. Everybody's saying sending prayers. Please do that. That's about all we can do right now. Let's see here. Michelle Ramirez says, "The devil's always out to kill and destroy. Very sad prayers to those families." Brenda Bayless says prayers from WV, I assume West Virginia. Juan Hernandez says prayers. Shirley Purdue, prayers for all the families in Sutherland, Texas, who are impacted by this heartbreaking incident today. This is just tragic, and as you can see from the video there, look at people are crying. It's just devastating. This is one of the places you would assume you are safe, a house of God. You go there to pray, to be with your community, to worship, and this is the last thing you would think would happen there, but it's happened here in rural Texas, just southeast of San Antonio, about 30 miles southeast of San Antonio. We understand the population there in Sutherland Springs, Texas, is about 700 people. It's in Wilson County, not far from Floresville. We don't know. Some people are wondering who was killed, kids, not kids. We don't know yet ages. I do believe there's a report of a 2-year-old. We haven't confirmed that just yet. You would have to imagine it would be a wide variety of ages, but we don't know yet. We're still waiting to get confirmed how many people are for sure dead and what ages. And with these types of situations, I can tell you it's going to take a while before we have all the answers and before they identify everybody, unfortunately. Getting more comments from everybody from all over the U.S. Stacy Bennis says prayers from Florida. Right below that, there was somebody that said prayers from Dallas, prayers from Katy, Texas. My mom and sister live nearby, have friends impacted. That's from Lisa Pounds. Iowa is agreeing in faith and prayers for Sutherland Springs. Yes. So everybody all over the nation is going to be talking about this horrible tragedy that's happened on this Sunday. Again, when people are, obviously these people were at church when this happened, and people, wherever you are, were probably coming out of church when you heard about this horrible news. We're getting some information in 1 second. Okay, so now you're looking at some chopper footage, some aerial footage. What you're looking at, you see the yellow tape, law enforcement there. What we've been told is this is where the shooter was killed. We don't know yet if he shot and killed himself or if law enforcement shot and killed him. We're still waiting to gather that information. We were moved, one of our cruisers moved to the Stockdale City Hall for a news conference from law enforcement. We're still waiting for that to happen, but we have been told this is where the gunman was shot and killed. It's hard to tell from the aerial, but it looks like that's an SUV there. You can see the yellow tape that they've cornered off law enforcement vehicles. We had heard from CBS News that this may have spanned over into Guadalupe County. It's hard to tell where this is. Do we have any idea where this is, guys, or any other info on this? We're trying to figure out where exactly this is, but again, we've been told.
I just talked to Luke on the desk. He's gathering the information. He should have it for you here to talk to you about it in about 90 seconds. Okay,
and yeah, just stand by, folks. We're getting this information on where exactly this is. Again, we've been told this is where the gunman, this is where it all ended. Again, we don't know if he shot and killed himself or if law enforcement shot and killed him. You can see a lot of law enforcement vehicles there, dozens of them, or at least it looks like dozens on screen, probably a lot more that you can't see in the picture there. But again, you can see it looks like an SUV that is crashed out into the field. You can see the yellow caution tape that is going around that area. As this is a fluid situation, it will continue to be a fluid situation for quite a while. We might not have all these answers all today. We won't have them all today, and it will take several days. Unfortunately, this is it feels like this just happened not too long ago in Las Vegas, and it was just weeks ago. Obviously, don't want to make any sort of comparison, but any sort of mass shooting, it's just horrible. Continuing to read comments from everybody from Facebook, sending prayers from all over the United States, from South Carolina. We've got an update. I'm joined now by my colleague, Luke Simon. Luke, what do we know about what we're looking at on the screen right now?
So right now we're not exactly sure, but what we've been told is this could possibly be the location of where this all ended for the shooter, is what we're being told. And this is, my understanding is it's about probably 10 miles north of where the church was. So we're still working on specific details. We do not know exactly what has happened at this location, but obviously, as you can see, there is a huge police presence, a lot of people in this area. We're working to get a reporter there as well to try and find out what the details are of what exactly has happened at this location. But this is just outside of Sutherland Springs, north of that.
North.
I believe on 539.
Yeah, see, and we had heard unconfirmed yet, I'm looking at the map right now on my phone, that there may have been a chase, a pursuit of some sort that crossed into Guadalupe County, and that would make sense if this was 10 miles north of Sutherland Springs. You're getting closer into, not very close to Seguin, but we know you're headed toward Guadalupe County. It's hard to tell what sheriff's vehicles or what law enforcement vehicles there are there. There's a lot of them, obviously, but it's hard to tell where. But that would make sense. That would possibly connect the dots there as far as what happened with the shooter. Again, we don't know if the shooter shot and killed himself or if law enforcement shot and killed him. That's just one of the many details we're waiting to find out from law enforcement. Again, we're hoping to get some sort of briefing from the Texas Department of Public Safety soon. They moved all news media to the Stockdale City Hall about 30 minutes ago, so we're waiting to get more information. Luke, is there anything else that you can add?
Well, and just so people at home understand, like we are in control of Chopper 5. They can go to these scenes, but obviously we also have to be very careful of what we're showing. You can see that heavy police presence kind of in the middle of that, and it's all blocked off. So we're not going to zoom in. We don't, because we don't know what we'd see at that point. So we're being very careful ourselves. And as you can see, towards the left of that, there is a vehicle over to the side, which is also inside of these caution ropes. So you don't know exactly how this all went down, but that is why we will send a reporter there. We will try and see if we can find out some details of what happened at this location. And we would assume that once they do give that update, like you said, at the location of, I believe it was City Hall, where they're going to have their press conferences and give the media updates, we'll learn a lot more about this as well. But this is what makes these cases so complicated, because not only do you have the scene at the church, but now you have a scene, maybe 10 miles away or so. And so they're going to try and piece together. And, I said it earlier, and I'm sure you've said it, Phil, everybody wants answers right now, but you just have to be very careful of the information that you're getting. You want to make sure everything is done the right way, that people are notified. We constantly hear of people being shot, and then on our Facebook page and social media, people want to tell you who these people are. Now, they may know, but if next of kin has not been notified, that's not something we're going to give out either. Yeah. So people want these answers. We want to give you those answers. Unfortunately, until we know for sure, we're not going to put any of that out.
Yeah, and again, what makes the response difficult too is this is rural South Texas. So you have local sheriff's office, Wilson County Sheriff's Office. This might be the Guadalupe County Sheriff's Office that assisted in pursuing this gunman. But again, this kind of tragedy requires multiple agencies to respond. And, that's San Antonio. It's going to take time to get down there. Same thing with the medical response. Unfortunately, it's going to take time to get people down there. Thank God we have a great medical community here in San Antonio, one of the best. And we have multiple hospitals that have medical helicopters that flew and responded. We've been reporting that University Hospital has half a dozen patients, 6 patients. Methodist Hospital said they don't have any as of now. We know CBS News was reporting that Connolly Memorial Medical Center, which is in Floresville, they are taking in people too. And that's the other thing about these injuries. We know multiple people are injured, but we don't know the extent of the injuries. We don't know. We hope that's not the case, but you have to assume some people might be in critical condition, and some people might be in a little bit better condition, but just a lot of questions still to come in.
Right, and like you said, I think we also have Jeremy Baker over at BAMC. We had heard that some of the victims may have been taken there as well. So we're trying to sort all this out. And like you said, it becomes a team effort, truly. And the thing is that people don't realize is that these first responders practice this. The FBI is in constant contact. Even though they may be here in San Antonio, they do contact and know who these small towns are. But as you said, a small town police department is not necessarily made
equipped
for
to handle this.
Correct. I mean, this is a mass casualty. So when something happens like this, they call as many as they can. So I had heard that possibly even the Texas game wardens may have been called to help and assist. And then you've got multiple counties, and they're trying to get it all out. And then the other thing is, when you have family members that are being taken to these hospitals, maybe in San Antonio, they want to make sure that this is done properly, and the family members are told where to go, how to get there, because that's a huge part of what you need to do first. And, you know, as you're trying to find out what exactly happened as well.
Yeah, and some of that video you saw earlier from our Sioux Calvary, you could see people grieving and holding each other outside the church. That was the community center on the campus where the church is, and Sioux Calvary had told us that's where people were told to go and wait to get information. So you've got to understand, while we're trying to get information and pass it along, some family members are still waiting to hear from their loved ones. And this is just a terrifying, horrible situation. And again, this is a place that you would go that you would think you're the most safe church. And not only did this happen at a church service, but other people from all over the nation are walking out of church today and looking at their phone, checking the TV, and seeing what a horrible Sunday this has turned out to be.
That's correct. And it's hard to even fathom. And you know, the majority of our audience obviously is in San Antonio. There's over 1 million people, but even if something like this were happening, that area knows these people. You're going to know someone, and especially in a small community like this, these people run into each other all the time. And Sue said how tough it is in a congregation of 40, and how many people are impacted by this. And the people who are at another church down the road getting the alerts saying, hey, have you heard? And then everybody running over there. It's just really tough, and you want to know what happened. You want to know why this happened. But it's going to take some time, and we've got to make sure we give them that time to try and figure this out.
We don't have the hard numbers yet on just how many people have been injured, how many people have been killed, but just to put this into perspective, the small town of Sutherland Springs is about 700 people. The church, according to our reporter on the ground, Sue Calberg, maybe dozens of people, 40, 50 people. So when you know that there have been multiple people shot and killed, multiple people injured, that's a significant amount of the church. This is devastating, obviously not only to the church, to the town, but the entire nation.
Right.
I mean, we're still reeling over what happened in Las Vegas.
Right.
Now this.
And this isn't the first time we haven't personally had to report on the church shooting, but it's happened before in other states. And then you hear, even President Trump tweeting that, they're watching it and keeping an eye, and he's not even currently in the United States.
No.
And so there's so many steps and so many people that have to be brought up to speed to know what's going to happen and understand exactly how it happened. That's what makes this even tougher. And the fact that they're not necessarily equipped, there might be people from Austin that are still trying to get down there to do the investigation and figure out exactly what happened.
Yeah,
So,
and you mentioned the president. He tweeted shortly after the shooting happened, around 2 o'clock, may God be with the people of Sutherland Springs, Texas. The FBI and law enforcement are on scene. I am monitoring the situation from Japan. Of course, he is overseas on a trip right now. Governor Greg Abbott had tweeted, our prayers are with all harmed by this evil act. Our thanks to law enforcement for their response. More details from DPS soon. And that's all you can call it, is an evil act. I mean, again, this is on a Sunday. These church members thought they were going to the safest place they could be at on a Sunday. And unfortunately, that wasn't the case, and we're witnessing a horrible mass shooting. Again, if you're just joining us, we're still waiting to get word from law enforcement. They're scheduled to do a press conference any moment now. We're standing by. We've got multiple crews down there in Wilson County. But again, this is a mass shooting that happened probably before noon. We were told this was during the 11 a.m. service at First Baptist Church in Sutherland Springs, Texas, which is 30 miles or so southeast of San Antonio in Wilson County. Here's can we pull up these tweets right now, guys? Am I able to do that? I'm going to read some of these tweets and show them to you. A lot of people, a lot of outpouring of support from all over the nation right now. Okay, there you go. There's one from John Kingston. My heart goes out to all those affected in Sutherland Springs, Texas. May God watch over the victims. Here's one. My thoughts and prayers are with the victims and their families of the shooting at Church of Sutherland Springs, Texas. Hashtag Texas Strong. Here's David Bagno. He's a reporter with CBS News. He is saying that the gunman in Sutherland Springs church shooting is dead after a car chase with police. Unclear if he shot himself. Governor Greg Abbott, we just read that one to you. But going back to the gunman, again, we do know he was shot and killed. We don't know yet if he shot and killed himself or if he was shot and killed by law enforcement. Here's some more tweets from people from all over. Here's one that says, prayers for Sutherland Springs, Texas. Just a very, very sad and tragic day. Again, we're waiting to confirm just how many people were shot and killed and the ages of those people that have been involved in this. There's a report of as young as 2 years old somebody was shot, but we're still waiting to get the official word from law enforcement. It looks like DPS is handling this case as of now. We know the FBI is on scene to assist. It sounds like maybe this chase with the gunman went into county lines into Guadalupe County, so that would mean the Guadalupe County Sheriff's Office is also involved. And of course, from the medical perspective, a big response, a lot of help coming from San Antonio, people flown here to some of our, and of course, from the medical perspective, a big response, a lot of help coming from San Antonio, people flown here to some of our hospitals. Hopefully they can get the care they need. They surely will. We've got a great medical community here in San Antonio. So guys, what are we looking at right now? Which one are we at? The scene. Okay, so now you're looking again at the scene from earlier, gathering to get more information about their loved one and friends. You can only imagine how panicked, how scared a lot of those people must be, not knowing if their loved ones, if their friends have made it out alive. You can see people holding each other, hugging each other. We've seen people cry throughout the morning and into the afternoon. You can see a lady taking a case of water in. This is going to be a big scene that's going to be like this for days in this small town. I can tell you now that, with a situation like this, the whole world's going to be watching, and everybody, all the network news, media outlets, local media will be there. FBI is going to be down there. This is going to be a massive, major crime scene for a number of days, and this is the last thing that people in the small town of Sutherland Springs thought would have happened in their small, quiet community. Again, we don't know much about the church yet, but we understand maybe 40, 50 members of the congregation. So this is a significant hit for the church, knowing that there is a mass casualty situation, multiple deaths, multiple people injured. Our Sue Kalberg said when she got on scene, she saw 2 tarps on the ground. She saw multiple helicopters flying victims off to get the medical treatment that they need. We're still waiting to hear from law enforcement. Can we take this sound of this right here? Can we take that, guys? We're going to try and get this audio up for you.
Has it already been coming in? We have been getting some information. Yes, I don't want to say anything about what we've heard, but some people have had some confirmed information about family members and friends. So we're
stand by. We're trying to get this audio up for you.
Well, we're holding up as well as we can. We're a strong community. We're all, we're strong in our faith, and we're strong in believing that that anyone that was that was killed in the church there is present with our Lord. That's what we stand on, and that's what we believe. To be absent from the body is be present with the Lord, and so we believe that they are in the arms of Jesus right now.
You would never believe something like this will happen over here.
I'm sorry?
You would never...
No, we wouldn't believe that something like that would happen here. I mean, this is Sutherland Springs. We're not even an incorporated city. We have a post office over here and a zip code, and 2 gas stations, 2 churches, and a Dollar General.
What do we know about what do you know about?
Do we know a narrative, like what happened?
I do not know a narrative. I'm going to say that it must have been as I was preaching at our church down the road. It was probably about 11:15 or so when some people in our church, we have a deputy and some other people in our church, when we got a call that there was an active shooting going on down at First Baptist Church. Those people, first responders, immediately left our church to come down and to help. Our church immediately went into what we do, and we started praying for everyone that was involved in it. The people of this church and first responders that are going out there. And that's about the only timeline that I can tell you. We know that there was something going on further down 539. I believe that had to do with the shooter, but I don't want to make any statements, like I said, until anything is confirmed. But we know that...
anybody personally that you know that was affected?
Yes, everybody. Everybody in that church.
Everybody in there?
Yes. Yeah, well, I know everybody in there. I mean, our churches work together. We go to lunch with the pastor, Pastor Frank Pomeroy is the pastor there. He and his wife Sherry were not there today. They are on their way back, from what I have heard, and but some of their family members are here. So we're waiting for him to get back. Some of the I couldn't tell you where that is. I don't know. I don't remember where they were at.
They were out of town, though.
They were out of town.
Have you heard anything about the shooter? Do you know?
No, I've not heard anything about the shooter.
Pastor, one of the ladies said that she thought that maybe they lost half of their congregation.
That's one of those things that I hate to not give information, but at the same time, we don't want to make any statement about any numbers or any names or anything like that until we have official confirmation of someone and the status of them.
And could you tell us, you said this has become kind of a gathering point.
Well, this is our community center here, and so immediately we set this up for the family to be able to come over here so that so everyone else could come in. And our church, as soon as we got the word that they were meeting here, we brought water and fans and ice, and we're gathering food for the families and all of that. So this is where we meet as a community. So this was the place. It's 2 blocks from the church down there, so it's close enough that we could be able to get whatever information we could get as soon as we could get it.
So this is where all the families, everybody who's coming to help the families, everybody's meeting here.
This is where all the families are coming of the people in the church, and we have church members that are here. Some that I've talked to that weren't in church today, but they were somewhere else, and they came back here now, and they're here and ready to minister to their friends and family members that are here.
So you got your members in your church are here.
My members of my church are here. Our church stands ready down the road with. I told them turn on the air conditioners, get everything ready, because if we need it, it's ready to go for whatever need.
Your name and position one more time?
My name is Pastor Paul Buford of River Oaks Church in Sutherland Springs. We're 2 miles down 539 from First Baptist Church of Sutherland Springs. Buford.
I think it's important also to repeat that you have a Facebook page where you're going to post it.
Good. All right. We're going to take a break from that sound real quick. That was from earlier today. I'm joined now by my colleague, Ashley Speller. Ashley, step in if you could. You've got an update as far as the medical response,
Yes.
Big medical response from here in San Antonio. What can you tell us?
Yes, so I reached out to Connolly Medical Center in Floresville, Texas. A spokesperson there tells me that do have 8 patients that were taken there to the hospital today. 4 have been transported to UH, it's University Hospital here in San Antonio, because they needed a higher level of care, she tells me. 2 are discharged, and then she also tells me that 2 are currently still there, but they are in stable condition, and she could not divulge any further information in regards to ages. I did ask if there was any children currently there. She said that she could not divulge anything further, but this is going to be official information from a spokesperson at the hospital in Floresville, Texas.
And have we heard from any other hospitals? I know University Hospital had 6 patients early on, so we're waiting to hear back. Actually, look, I can update you from University Hospital now. They have 9 patients, 5 adults and 4 kids. So we do know that University Hospital has 9 patients, 5 adults, and 4 kids. This is obviously heartbreaking when it happens to anyone, but it really crushes you when you hear there are kids that have been impacted in this way. And just so you know, typically when you go to University Hospital, it's a serious injury because they can handle the trauma much better than some other facilities are able to. What about other hospitals in our area?
Well, we are hearing that we had, there were some patients transferred over to BAMC here in San Antonio. We do have a crew there waiting to get some official information from the PIO. He is currently being briefed on the situation, and we are hearing also that there are, as you said, the patients at University Hospital, but we don't really have anything right now further.
Okay, so we're waiting to hear back from BAMC.
Right.
Just to recap, Connolly Memorial Medical Center, which is in Floresville in Wilson County. 8 people initially. It sounds like they transferred 4 of them here to San Antonio to University Hospital to get the level of care that they can get here in San Antonio. Those other 4 remaining, it sounds like 2 were discharged. 2 still in the hospital. So that's 8 people from Connolly Memorial Medical Center. And again, just I got a quick update from a spokesperson for University Hospital. They are saying that they have 9 patients, 5 adults, and 4 kids. And again, we're waiting to hear back from BAMC. I know Methodist Hospital here in San Antonio said they have not taken any patients so far. But it kind of, we still don't know how many people were injured, but now you're starting to get the sense that we're talking about dozens of people. And again, we're still waiting to hear how many people have been killed. We know multiple people have been killed. We're waiting on an update for a press conference from down there. DPS is going to be handling this press conference. Is that right?
That's what we're understanding. Yes, we do have a crew there kind of waiting for that press conference. Again, everything has been super fluid. We have them there at the Stockdale City Hall Center waiting for that press conference to see if we can get some more information. We do understand that it should be starting here shortly.
And that's exactly what you're looking at right now. This is where this press conference is going to happen. And as soon as it starts, we'll be quiet and we'll take that press conference. It could be a little while, though. Ashley, who's joining me now here in the Digital Center, she works our desk. She is part of the heart and soul of this news operation. She listens to scanners. She takes calls. Ashley, what was it like as this all started to unfold?
Well, this morning when it all started to unfold, the way that I found out about the incident was I received a phone call from a gentleman who said that there was a shooting in Sutherland Springs. I said, is it, did they shoot the building? What? Can you give me a couple more details? He said that he saw people in the front of the church laying down on the ground. Multiple emergency units were there. He told me he saw emergency crews from the Wilson County Sheriff's Office. He saw DPS. He saw the game warden. There was, you name it. People came from everywhere to help. And so he told me there was multiple people there that were being serviced. There was a second Air Life that was called. So once I heard that, I was very shocked, as you can imagine. And then we started getting even more phone calls. Another witness called to say that something similar, they were telling me that the same thing was happening. There was a shooting. Then we started getting to our Facebook message board multiple reports of mass shooting, active shooter. And as you can imagine, we get all kinds of rumors spreading around, people saying, this many people have been killed, but we of course need to get everything confirmed. So, as the numbers really do develop, we are just waiting to get those final numbers as they come in.
I understand we were hearing, like you just said, from witnesses. I mean, people that were down there. Did you get a lot of calls? I mean, I know we get a lot of emails. What was the sense from there? Was it, I imagine, very panicked?
It was very panicked. People were scared. People are they're terrified.
The Associated Press is reporting that more than 20 people were killed.
Okay, we're getting word now that from the Associated Press that at least 20 people were killed. Hopefully we get a very specific number soon from this press conference that's set to begin. But the AP, the Associated Press, saying at least 20 people have been killed. And again, many people have been injured. Just a quick recap. We know 8 people were taken to Connolly Memorial Medical Center there in Floresville. 4 of them, though, had to be taken here to University Hospital. University Hospital has said they currently have 9 patients, 5 adults, 4 children. I want to read one of these tweets that just came out from CBS News correspondent David Begnaud. He had just tweeted, this is heartbreaking, speaking of the people that have been shot. He tweeted, 6-year-old boy named Rylan was shot 4 times at the church in Sutherland Springs and is now in surgery, according to his uncle who spoke to CBS News. So, again, we know there's children involved in this, obviously. We don't know the specific range in ages. I know we had heard early on that a 2-year-old was shot.
Right.
We don't know all the ages. There's still a very fluid situation. Right. Still trying to get all the information in. Ashley, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but you were talking about how panicked the situation was, the calls that you were getting.
The calls were, people were terrified. We had people calling who, were on the street, either driving by and saw something happening, and they had that feeling that something was wrong. And then you had other people calling and saying, I am seeing this right now. There are people laying on the ground. Why are there not enough, we need help. There needs to be more. There's something going on. We had Air Life being called in. We heard on the scanners, Wilson County was, requesting some more help. They needed some space to get the helicopters landing. So this was going to be something that we knew was big when we got that first call this morning. Yeah,
and as we've mentioned, obviously there's a lot of frustration, but that's the challenge and the difficulty for a response like this. This is rural South Texas. This is a small town of about 700 people. As we heard Sue Kalberg say, a lot of people are volunteer workers, volunteer firefighters, volunteer first responders, and it takes time, unfortunately, to respond to a mass shooting like this.
Right.
You don't expect it to happen, but it makes it more difficult when it does happen, especially in a rural part of South Texas. But we do have to say kudos to the first responders that have gone down there and helped. We don't know all the details yet, but all we can do is continue to pray and give the proper thanks to our law enforcement that were able to respond and help in this tragic situation. As far as the shooter goes, we're still waiting to get details. We know that the gunman was shot and killed. We don't know if he shot and killed himself or if law enforcement shot and killed him. We did have some aerial video of what appeared to be the gunman's SUV vehicle, and we were told that maybe that was about 10 miles north of Sutherland Springs.
Yes.
We had also heard that it was in Guadalupe County, that officially crossed into from Wilson County to Guadalupe County. So there was a chase, we understand. CBS News has reported there was a chase with the shooter, but we don't know yet how he died.
Right, yeah, we don't know yet. We did have our helicopter, over the scene, and there's certainly something there. We're working to get all those details as they develop. So, but we do know that there was some kind of incident not too far from that church.
I read a tweet earlier from Governor Greg Abbott, his thoughts and prayers with everybody. He just tweeted also 2 minutes ago that he is en route to Sutherland Springs to meet with families, local, state, and federal officials, and a public briefing to follow. So we know the governor, he's on his way. He's leaving Austin. He's headed down to Sutherland Springs. This is just a massive situation, a tragic situation. Again, we're still waiting to get official confirmation as far as how many people have died, but the AP has reported at least 20 people have been shot and killed. It's just not what any of these people expected to happen at a church.
Right.
Much less the safest place you would think you could be at. I'm reading a tweet from David Begnaud from CBS News. The gunman, again, was shot and killed after a chase. We don't know yet who shot and killed him. Again, you're taking a live look at what will soon be a press conference. We're waiting to get more information from law enforcement. We understand the Texas Department of Public Safety is handling this case, but we do know multiple agencies will be helping you. There has to be when there's a shooting of this magnitude. We know the San Antonio FBI field office is already on scene, and they are assisting with this massive investigation. We know the Wilson County Sheriff's Office was obviously the first ones to respond there. They do great work down there, but you have to imagine they are not equipped to handle a case of this magnitude, with all due respect. But again, that the Texas Department of Public Safety is handling this investigation. We're waiting to get word from them. As soon as this press conference begins, we'll go to it live. We've got multiple crews from KENS 5 there on scene in Sutherland Springs, a small community. We're talking about maybe 700 people. Rural Texas, obviously. The closest town would be Floresville. The church is very small. We understand maybe 40, 50 church members. So this is a huge blow, a huge tragedy, not only to the church, not only to the town, the state, but the entire nation as a whole. What else can you tell us, Ashley, as far as some of the calls that you've received? I know you've been very busy.
Yes, we've been very busy. So, this morning when we received those two initial calls, from both of them were from two gentlemen, telling us that something was wrong. Another person did call and said that they had seen, again, multiple agencies out there assisting. In addition to the ones you mentioned earlier, even the game warden we heard was out there. We had multiple agencies helping the Wilson County Sheriff's Office, and as you mentioned earlier, they are a very small department, so the help, I'm sure, is going to be incredible in figuring out exactly what happened, and again, what the circumstances were, why this happened, and just getting some answers, because that's what a lot of people have called about specifically. They want answers. Why did this happen? Why would something like this happen? And why that small town? As one of our reporters, Sue Kalberg, on the scene mentioned, somebody told her they were devastated because they lost half of their church. That church service only about under 50 people, so they lost half of that church, and a lot of people are injured, and people are wondering how their families are doing. We had some calls about people again wondering how they could get out there. How can they figure out if somebody that they knew was there at that service? So people are just generally very, very upset. They're terrified. So this is just something that's going to be developing. We're going to bring you everything as it comes in to us.
Yeah, and again, what you're looking at is from earlier today. This was earlier at the church. These are church members. This is the community center of the church, and Sue Kalberg, our reporter on the ground, told us that people were told to go there to get information on their friends and loved ones. You can only imagine how awful and how anxious and how afraid all of these people must feel right now, not knowing if their loved ones or friends made it out alive. Obviously, there are people spread throughout South Texas hospitals right now. Again, I just wanted to read a tweet from David Begnaud, a CBS correspondent, with a heartbreaking tweet. He said that a six-year-old boy was shot 4 times, and he's currently in surgery. That's according to the boy's uncle. He spoke to CBS News. So again, we now know that obviously children were involved. University Hospital has confirmed they've got 9 patients here in San Antonio, 5 adults, 4 children. Heartbreaking for this to happen to anyone, but especially the youngest, the most innocent youngest of all. And again, at a church of all places. And we're still waiting to hear back from BAMC, right? Is that correct?
That's right. We have a crew en route. One of our reporters, Jeremy Baker, is at BAMC right now, waiting to get information from the BAMC PIO, who is still getting briefed and getting all those details so they can bring us everything up to date and as accurate as possible, because the numbers are super important right now. Everybody wants to know the numbers. How is everybody doing? And if we can maybe get some ages or anything on these people that are there, we are certainly going to do our best to get all of that as soon as possible.
Yeah, and it's about 3:45. We're going on 4 o'clock. We don't know exactly when the shooting happened. We know it was before noon, right? I think when did we start getting the first calls into the newsroom?
Right. I want to say it's going to be between 11:30 and 12 is when we started getting all those calls. But the bulk of them really started coming at 12, right? When that is when it started getting really, really big.
And a church member had told our Sue Kalberg down there that this was during the 11 a.m. church service. So we know it was before noon. So we're going on a little more than 3.5 hours, getting closer to 4 hours.
Yes.
Here's that tweet I was referencing from David Begnaud, CBS News correspondent. 6-year-old boy named Rylan was shot 4 times at the church in Sutherland Springs and is now in surgery according to his uncle who spoke to CBS News. Just horrible. Again, we know this is now spilled over to children who are part of the victims. Again, University Hospital, for example, has 9 patients, 5 adults, 4 children. This might be one of the children there at University Hospital. We know the University Hospital, that's where you would go to handle a serious trauma situation like this. So it's likely this little boy is here in San Antonio trying to receive the treatment that he needs. We do know it's a great medical community here in San Antonio, so hopefully the doctors will be able to help all of these victims, and we don't see that death toll climb. Right. We don't know what it's at right now. We know it's high. We know it's looking like at least 20 people, but we're still waiting. You can see there's a live look at the staging center for the news media. There goes somebody from the Texas Department of Public Safety, so it looks like they're still getting ready. We understand the Texas Department of Public Safety is handling this investigation, of course, being assisted by multiple agencies, including the FBI. Obviously, the Wilson County Sheriff's Office, they were the first ones to respond, being that Sutherland Springs is in Wilson County. It's hard to say, when they're going to have this press conference, but we've got multiple people down there. You said we've got Jeremy at BAMC.
We have Jeremy Baker at BAMC. We have Sue Kalberg on the scene as well, still there. I believe she's still at the church, kind of reconvening. We have Henry Ramos, one of our reporters as well. They're at the press conference. We have a couple of other reporters that are going to be heading to different locations so that we can get the update on pretty much every aspect and every angle of the story. We can get the latest as it comes in.
Yeah, just to kind of give you an idea of what it was like for our Sue Kalberg when she got there. She said that it was horrifying because she saw 2 tarps on the ground. Obviously, that typically means there's a body underneath those tarps. She saw multiple medical helicopters taking patients to various hospitals, presumably here in San Antonio, and just a chaotic scene. A lot of people upset, a lot of people crying, a lot of people wanting to get answers. It's going to take time. We're not going to know all the answers today. We're going to get an update from law enforcement, but even then, there's going to be a lot of things they can't talk about because it's an ongoing investigation. So we'll see. We're standing by. You can see there again. We're waiting to hear from law enforcement. Again, an outpouring of support. Let's get some more of these tweets up if we could. Javier, could we go to, let's go to the president. And I know Senator John Cornyn also had tweeted something. We're going to pop up some tweets here. Obviously, all eyes are on Sutherland Springs. So we're going to pop up Senator John Cornyn here in just a moment. He had tweeted this earlier today. Truly heartbreaking news in Sutherland Springs. Please say a prayer for First Baptist congregation, first responders, and the community there. That's just one of the many tweets. We also had Governor Greg Abbott tweet a little while ago. A couple of tweets, he responded, and then he had mentioned that he's going to be making his way to Sutherland Springs. He's going to be leaving Austin. We assume the governor was in Austin right now, but Governor Greg Abbott is on his way to Sutherland Springs to meet with first responders, to meet with families, most importantly, to offer his condolences.
Attorney General Paxton also sent out a statement as well on Twitter. And
the president also tweeted shortly after this had happened. We know he's overseas right now in Japan, but he had tweeted, "May God be with the people of Sutherland Springs, Texas. The FBI and law enforcement are on scene. I am monitoring the situation from Japan." It wasn't too long ago that we were talking about the most recent mass shooting in Las Vegas, and now here we are talking about a completely different one. Here's the president's tweet from earlier today. We'll pop that up. May God be with the people of Sutherland Springs, Texas. The FBI and law enforcement are on scene. I am monitoring the situation from Japan. So a lot of people, a lot of outpouring of support for this small town in South Texas. Obviously, a lot of questions that need to be answered, and we're not going to get those answers, unfortunately. the biggest thing we can do now is pray for those who are still recovering, pray for those who have been impacted by this. This is rural Texas, so again, the response, it's difficult, It's going to take time for the proper resources and agencies to get out there. We'll have to hear from law enforcement about how the response turned out. But obviously, we're grateful for our first responders and what they've done. Real quick, Ashley, one more time. You again, just so people know, my colleague here, Ashley Speller, she answers the phone. She listens to the police scanner. She consumes a lot of this news that comes in first. A lot of it goes to her. She dispatches our teams where we need to go. What was it like when this all unfolded?
Well, when it first unfolded, I would say a little bit between 11:30 and 12. We started with one phone call, a gentleman telling us that there was some kind of shooting. First, he said he made it sound like it was maybe a drive-by shooting, so I wasn't kind of sure, how to follow up on that. So the following call that we received, he said that he called back. He saw people on the ground, multiple units, emergency crew units out there. Air Life was called. People were on the ground. People were crying. He wanted to know kind of what was going on. He told me that a constable, I believe, was out there and had told him that there was multiple fatalities. So once I heard that there was a single fatality at the least, we knew this was going to be a serious, serious issue. So right away, we had to figure out exactly what was going on. We started getting calls nationwide, worldwide, actually, people wanting to know what's going on. We got calls from Australia, from India, all over the place. This was serious. So we had to follow up on all of that and try to get some serious numbers, but that was the problem is you get so many rumors, people saying that there's a mass shooting, that there's the active shooter, that there's 5, 10, 20 people, somebody said 50 people. So the hard part is trying to figure out exactly what are those real numbers and what are the injuries, the real injuries. So, so as far as the calls go, it was panic. You had people who were wondering how their families were. How do I get there to figure out if my family's okay? How is the staff? Somebody called and said, I live in this area. I live down the street. Do I need to be worried? Is there somebody that's going to come, to my area? And should I be worried? Should my family be concerned? It was really just very fluid in the morning. So we were just working actively to try to get information from Department of Public Safety. We had Wilson County Sheriff, again, Game Warden was there, Air Life was there. So, we had to figure out exactly what was going on in a short amount of time because, we had a lot of people wanting to know what is going on, not just here, but worldwide.
And this gentleman that called and spoke to you, he was there. He was on scene.
He was there. He was on scene. I asked him to send me some pictures. I asked him to be a KENS 5 eyewitness and send us some pictures to our Facebook page, some videos, and kind of give us an idea of what we were looking at. Because, as someone describes a shooting, being an assignment editor, me and my colleagues, we hear shootings happening all the time, but that could just be, a shots fired, something like that, a shot into a wall. So I didn't know exactly what are we looking at here. So please send me some photos. He went ahead and he sent us some photos, and then we saw the magnitude of it. We saw, 10 police cars, emergency units there on scene, attending to these people. We saw people very, very upset, and we had to get on the bottom of it very quickly.
Absolutely. And again, what you're looking at is a press conference that should begin at any moment. So what we're going to do is we're going to go take that live, and we will also be moving to the studio, and we will take this live as soon as it comes in. So stay with us. We're not going anywhere, especially here on Facebook and on KENS5.com, and we hope to get as much info as we can to you, and hopefully this press conference starts pretty soon here.
sugar.
I think I've worked with him like 5 times and never met him. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, now.
This one shoot, I'll see what it's trying to do. I hear it. Looks like it's at the beginning.
Tell me what. I actually have a budget.
Yeah. I'll have to do that. Let me, see what they want to do.
Yeah, just see. I want to try to show you something. If you end up having a
This is a small town. Probably enough room between the two buildings to make 1,000 people.
Thank you so much.
Rational at all.
It's all still.
Please hold on to napkins. We have people are still bringing them in.
Wacko. I don't know if he's going to have time. See you later. Sure, I'll see you. Okay, man.
I'll start you back on. Okay.
Do you need paper towels? We have some of those plates and stuff.
We don't know, Mario. We do not know. I'm just giving out that number. Yeah, we're sure waiting back and Devin are going to go check outside and see. That would be perfect. You know what? I have a little. What is it? A little. Oh yeah.
more again from law enforcement. This is video from earlier today from our Sue Kalberg. This was not long after the shooting happened. She spoke to a variety of people. That were churchgoers, witnesses, people who were nearby. Obviously, it's a devastating situation. People were very panicked. Here at KENS 5, we started receiving calls just before noon from people who were there on the ground saying there's been a mass shooting. We need help. Obviously, this is rural South Texas, so getting resources down there is not it's not going to happen very quickly. You had the Wilson County Sheriff's Office respond, but since then we know that the FBI is on the scene. They are assisting. We know the Texas Department of Public Safety is handling this investigation. Again, we're waiting to hear how many people have been shot and killed, but it's looking like at least 20 people, and a lot of people have been shot and injured. We have confirmed with University Hospital here in San Antonio, they've got 9 patients, 5 adults and 4 children. Sadly, this has spilled over and has obviously affected children. We know from CBS News that a 6-year-old boy was shot 4 times and he's in surgery. That's according to the boy's uncle who spoke to CBS News. So just tragic when anytime it involves children.
Yeah, and as Phil mentioned, a rural area, and we've reportedly heard from multiple reports mentioned they're firing off inside this church grounds. Yeah,
all over the world really are in Antonio. Donald Trump, after the shooting, brings Texas the situation. Of course, the president is overseas right now. Governor Greg Abbott tweeted that our with all who are harmed by this evil act. Our thanks to law enforcement for their response. More details from soon. Know that Governor is on his way to Sutherland Spring to console family members, to meet with first responders, church members. We don't know much about this church just yet. Church, obviously, Sutherland Springs is a small town, about 700 people, and the church maybe 40, 50 members. At least that's what we're hearing. Church members on the ground. So to know maybe at least 20 people have died and others injured, this is a huge nation as a whole.
Family members, people who experienced that shooting and are just waiting outside of the church to see if their loved ones are still alive. And the sort of feedback that we're getting online, a lot of the family members, they don't want to, as you can imagine, that this is just very, very tragic, and this is going to be something that they are going to just have to take a little pause before they're willing to talk. We do know that a lot of family members of the victims have gathered outside of the church, and they are just waiting.
And at this moment, a press conference from law enforcement to get more information. That's going to be happening at Stockdale City Hall, and that's where Eyewitness News reporter Henry Ramos is standing by. Henry, you've been there for quite a while now. What's the scene like right now?
Well, Phil, it's certainly a waiting game at this point. We've been here for quite some time trying to get an update from law enforcement. And every time that we do keep asking, we're told, that it will be soon. Obviously, we were originally, just to give you an idea here, we were originally posted up at the in Sutherland Springs, but out of respect, because a lot of the family members were there, they were inside the community center, trying to cope and exactly what just happened. We were told here to the City Hall here, and as you can see right behind, we've got the podium here. Obviously, we have a lot of the media as we're trying to get any type of warning here inside, as we do have troopers here with the Texas Department of Public Safety. And when I originally spoke to brief us at this particular point, we do not know, since we do understand now that the governor is en route here, we don't understand that holding us up here as we may be awaiting for the governor. That is something that we cannot confirm at this point. We haven't asked that, but that is certainly an indication as to we haven't been briefed as of yet, because it has been that we've been here set up. But I can tell you, just from the type of community that this is, there are a lot of folks around here from the city of Stockdale, from here with water, with food for a lot of us, for the media, from law enforcement. that's the type of Texans that this community is. And just given the fact of what just happened, they're out here and they've set up a table and coolers out here as we await any moment now from a press conference with law enforcement.
Henry, were you able to talk to any of the family members of those victims outside the church at all?
You know, I was a few of them, and it's certainly the tough part about my job is being able to ask someone if they understandably so of what just happened. And so a lot of them, what they were able to tell me, I spoke to an associate pastor who had been at the First Baptist years and moved congregation just down the road. Had said that this was just, there's really no words to understand what was going on. Devastating is really all he said. You saw outside the communities, and this is certainly what I expect to see in this community, and so it was what they were seeing. How could they cope with something like this to happen in what small town America and a population where, you know, this type of church, they all knew each other. This is exactly, these are not just strangers with every Sunday. These are neighbors. These are people that they grew up with. And so that scene, they were able to see a lot of their loved ones, and so it was hard for them to even understand. And when I was in what was going on.
Henry, stand by for us if you a neighbor and also some sound from a pastor. That if we could.
I've been going to this church since I was knee-high to a duck. So it's pretty tragic. Really don't know. I'm about in the dark as everybody because I changed my mind to go to church today. And so did my daughter.
How many people do you think would be in church on an ordinary?
40.
About 40?
So about half our church members are gone.
What are you hearing in terms of numbers?
Anywhere between 15 to 20. Oh, many children that were sitting with their family.
Yeah, well, I know everybody in there. I mean, our churches work together. You know, we go to lunch with the Pastor Frank Pomeroy. There, he and his wife Sherry. We're not today. They are on, from what I have heard, and but some of their family members are here. So we're waiting to get back. Some of the, I couldn't tell you where that is. I don't know. I don't remember where they were at.
They were out of town, though.
They were out of town.
So there you just heard that about 40 people typically go to that church. So we're learning that at least 20 people have been shot and killed. We're waiting to see if that's the exact number, if that death toll goes up. We're waiting to confirm the exact number from law enforcement. And we know multiple people have been injured. Again, University Hospital during church service. About dozens impacted by this tragic event, this cowardly. It's just community for the nation, the country. Some new information into our newsroom. This truly was a response by a variety of people, including Texas Parks and Wildlife. We understand one game warden and one Wilson County Sheriff's deputy were the first of 6 to make entry, and they said had already taken off, and then that's when they started to set up a triage for the victim.
And we also know that the game warden arrived and secured the perimeter just to make sure that everything was secure and safe around that area. And that one more game warden actually assisted Guadalupe County authorities in that chase to catch that shooter. And this is,
we're getting more information, and this is tragic, just talking about some of the victims. This news is reporting that the 14th daughter of First Baptist Church's pastor is among those killed in this shooting. Of course, a while before we more information, identify all the victims, we had also learned from CBS News.
And this truly has touched not just in Texas, but across the country. President Trump tweeted about this deadly shooting. He said, quote, "May God be with the people of Sutherland Springs, Texas." Said that the FBI law enforcement are on the scene monitoring the situation from president also tweeted that Karen and to victims and their families in Texas. He says that we grieve with you and stand resolve against evil. Thank you to the first responders. This has truly been just a tragic and devastating shooting that, again, has touched more than just people here in Texas.
You know, going back to how this all ended, we were talking about the game wardens. They got involved. It's a town, so response, you've got the Wilson County Sheriff's Office, but everybody kind of joined in here. We know game warden and Wilson County Sheriff's the first to make entry into the church. They said the shooter had left. We do know, though, another game warden assisted with the chase of the shooter. He ended up leaving, crossing into county lines of Guadalupe County, which is north of where this shooting happened. We've got some footage of that suspected vehicle crash. Here's people gathering outside the church. You can see one person consoling. And we were told by Sue Kalberg on the ground that this is the community center of the church, and that's where friends were told to go and wait to get more information. Oh, it's just tragic to see that there.
Social media, again, we've tried to reach out to family members of these victims, and you could imagine they do not want to speak right now. This has just been truly very, very devastating for them. And that the Wilson County Sheriff told the local paper there that many casualties, how many fatalities there are, the exact number.
Yeah, let's go back to our Henry Ramos. He's standing by at the Stockdale City waiting for a press conference to start. Henry, before you got moved to the law enforcement president.
That's always that's me.
Phil, to the scene, apart to the side. I ran up to where our colleague Stu Kalberg was at. Obviously, you saw the tape. So hard to capture they'd be that were already outside the church. So what I wanted to see if I could talk to people to see if exactly what they were able to see. And so the community center that we've been talking about, and as you just mentioned, is just down the street from where the church was at, and that was rallying side. And so we were originally, as I mentioned before, going to be posted there to have a conference there with law enforcement to get updated, because we haven't been briefed yet all day today as more concrete and confirmed information. And so that's what. But out of respect, since a lot of the family members were there, we were now come to the city of Stockton, different community, and so we're obviously the media is set up. I will tell you, we just got quite a scare there for a second because we thought that it was here, and so we had told that's not. We think that is exactly the reason as to why we haven't received word from law enforcement, is that we are waiting for the governor's arrival. He did tweet out, obviously, and praying for the victims, and so that they're on their way to this area. And so that might be an indication as to why there may be a holdup here to get more concrete and confirmed information. What I will tell you from what I'm seeing is a lot of the residents here, not only in this community, in the city of Stockdale, but everyone, whether in a table of bottled water, all of us, that's the type of community that we're dealing with here, given the fact of the circumstances, of the unfortunate circumstances of what just happened, and that is out here. I've been seeing what's going to get people to move. And a lot of them that I spoke with, they're saying is prayer. They're what those victims were doing earlier this morning inside their church that they typically go to every single Sunday morning. And a lot of the residents, they say that is through this tough time, because a lot of those to that community center offering their Bible, offering their thoughts and their prayers. And you saw a lot of people, whether it be a shoulder to lean on to cry, whether it be a prayer to get to someone, that is what they say is going to get through this tough time. So obviously we'll continue to keep you posted out here as we are in the city of Stockdale, waiting for law enforcement to brief us. I was just going to be the Texas Department of Public Safety, that being troopers that were going to brief us. now that we know that federal agencies are involved, that may change. But as I mentioned, we have been holding up here for quite some time because of the governor's arrival that may be continuing up here as to when we will get briefed.
Henry, you former associate pastor of the church, was he there inside the church at the time of the shooting?
Well, the associate pastor I spoke to time, and he pastor at that years. It was hard for him to even the situation was simply death, and the word he couldn't even, at that he said for just saying that they just tried to get on and that it was just needed across another was particularly is that she my father very emotional. It's kind of the reality. I will tell you here that we are a lot of different law the sheriff's police that just so press commentary, but we are action of law enforcement and the
one more question. The people witnesses the mentioned the children were shot in this multiple. We know 4 university the children.
That I spoke with some of the victims that died, but children give me, access to or the but we're talking as my caliber had the generational church goers. This has been in a lot of the when they arrive. These are people, strangers, makes the story to tell that they too. These are their friends and their family. And that's the hearing specifics as to help, but I want people on the ground that they were pregnant.
down at the shooting Springs first, but their daughter is among has died.
Yes. And this is, again, we're getting from Texas. And wildlife shooting, and we know that did go help Guadalupe County and help, or at least chase after the
shooters shot and killed, or if shot after shooters made their that actually cut up 10 miles of so county to that's why the Guadalupe office got multiple agents responding to agencies, including the we know the state office is now this the safety we understand spearheading now. Do you know Abbott is on Springs, as mentioned, get there or there. Assume we will governor students begin. Just a quick recap. People that injured in San Antonio, we know are currently hospital, which are which are no critical condition. We don't condition there people are currently hospital for children. That we have stations here in Antonio. Heard from Matt that they had not any pay that people commonly medical center there in far from Spring had patient transfer handled university. So still trying. We know reporting that a boy was shot. Report news. He's that boy. I don't know which hot. Still for it was and be healed.
And again, just where the Sutherland Spring County, Virginia, the east of Sydney. This is a very film mentioned authorities have shooting Wilson County FBI just over there in the South Tissue Center, also helping been shot.
Yeah, you imagine that there's going to be response from this community getting blood and multiple people fighting for the right now cover from the wounds. But we know within a dozen and wage adult 8 people, and again we know are Connolly Center there so long. Unfortunately, answers we'd like hear from law. We've far of course this is an ongoing, it's a tragedy that they're just before it was during the air. So it'd be about 30, 30 actually we're waiting from law for.
This is preliminary. We do know entered an open that there are any victims in this, and again, multiple people in this.
Yeah, and that's just pregnant the victims and again, likely won't get, when we hear from the enforcement, there's going to be a lot of stuff that will still need to provide. A lot of thoughts and prayers for the world really right now. In this town just east of Antonio, things is about people. A church our road that typically be for people that on Sunday consider people have died. People, it's just a huge that Texas and as a whole.
And we have the pastor's daughter has in this to the association and family member the church have been
fluid situation. A lot of information comes in on airline and will continue to as Springs when this happened. So we're going on a little more than 5 hours now. Again, we're hoping to get some clarity from law enforcement. We won't get it all.
That could be done. No, being a medical assistant, they try to train you for everything, but you can't have training for this. You can't.
Some people who could not be helped, right?
Oh yes. There were, it tried to help his poor guy that his wife. Why them? It's hard because like I said, I know.
I don't know if you can see the truck behind. This is going to be going on for a time. Shot the man. This attack made the man run away.
So we can now tell you that the shooter, 26-year-old Devin Kelly. 26-year-old Devin Kelly was this. Leave tips for law enforcement. They might help law enforcement.
We're going to.
Okay, we're gonna check in with Addie in just. We know at least 20 people. It was at a church. Been shot.
A gunman opened. Also.
Church exited his vehicle and began firing. Special Operations Group bomb techs. There was